Global outcry at COP29 over insufficient climate finance proposal. The recent COP29 climate summit in Baku, Azerbaijan, has spotlighted the ongoing struggle between developed and vulnerable nations over climate finance. A proposed $250 billion annual aid offer from affluent countries was met with fierce criticism, as representative nations affected by climate change deemed it grossly inadequate compared to their proposed $1.3 trillion requirement. This sum is intended to address the damages and facilitate adaptations necessitated by escalating climatic disruptions. Juan Carlos Monterrey Gomez, Panama's representative, vocally criticized the offer, describing it as outrageous and likening it to a spit on the face of vulnerable nations. Further expressions of frustration and disappointment echoed through the halls of the summit, with envoys from various global regions, including imperiled island nations, vocalizing their discontent. These nations are on the front lines of climate impacts, such as rising sea levels. The financial aid intended by richer nations, originally set as a modest upgrade from the $100 billion annual commitment established 15 years ago, falls significantly short of current needs, according to developing countries. The earlier pledge, set to conclude this year, has itself been a topic of contention with claims of unfulfilled promises and inadequate support. Further complicating the situation is the concern about the nature of the financial aid. There were no clear assurances that the funds would be provided as grants. Instead, there seemed a possibility of more loans, potentially deepening the debt burden on developing nations already struggling with climate-induced challenges. Among non-governmental stakeholders, the sentiment was similarly bleak. The Climate Action Network International, representing a wide span of civil society groups from across more than 130 countries, outrightly dismissed the proposal as a joke. The organization highlighted the disconnect between the needs of vulnerable countries and the readiness of wealthier nations to acknowledge their historical responsibility for carbon emissions and consequent climate change. Despite some voices from affluent countries recognizing the Azerbaijani presidency's draft as a genuine attempt at negotiation, the general consensus leaned towards dissatisfaction. Germany's climate envoy Jennifer Morgan admitted that while the proposal was not yet a satisfactory solution, it prevented negotiations from being directionless. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, present at the negotiations after returning from Brazil, pressed for a resolution, emphasizing the dire need for a robust financial mechanism to support those most afflicted by climate irregularities. As the summit dragged beyond its scheduled conclusion, with no immediate resolution in sight, the world watched closely. The ongoing discussions at COP29 encapsulate a critical moment in global environmental politics, reflecting the urgent need for an equitable solution to climate finance, one that matches the scale of the crisis at hand. Thank you for choosing Satori News.